Hello and welcome to the Rugged Angel Cast. I'm your host, Camila. This is the podcast that focuses on conversations with women that have a story to tell. As I continue to speak with the women of the Not White Collective, this week's spotlight is on Dr. Amber Epps. Now, this is a return visit to the Rugged Angel Cast for Amber. If you would like to listen to her previous episode, that would be Rugged Angel Cast number 71. So I encourage you to go check that out to find out, to get like a little deeper dive on Amber and who she is. But this time around, Amber and I discuss her recent projects, including the publication of her book, Mushroom Logic Volume 1, Doves Can't Cry. Prince would argue with that, and her artistic collaborations with her brother, who happens to be incarcerated. Obviously, we're also going to touch on the Not White Collective, a group of multiracial women artists who reject white supremacy. The big takeaways from this episode, I feel, are the importance of validation and support in the artistic community, as well as the need to humanize incarcerated individuals. So please allow me to reintroduce Rugged Angel number 71 and number 129, Dr. Amber Epps. Dr. Amber Epps, welcome back to the Rugged Angel Cast. It's been, I want to say it was probably 2016, 15 maybe, that you were on here.
Oh my God.
Time. What does it all mean?
Yeah. Nothing.
But this time around, we are, we did a real deep dive into who you are as a person, as an artist, as a mom, as an entrepreneur last time. And this time around, we are going to talk about still you, but we're going to get into some what you're doing now, what's some of your recent projects that you're working on, as well as your relationship with the Not White Collective.
Cool.
All right. So first off and foremost, I was refreshing myself, my knowledge on who you were, and I came across your website. And what makes you a powerful, weird situation?
That's a good question. Somebody said that to me once, and I was just like, I'm using that. That's what it is. She was just the person I was talking to about all the stuff that I'm doing, and she said that, and I was like, yo, I like that. So when people are like, describe yourself, there it is.
I mean, it makes sense, especially like when you really look into and as to who you are. After just talking to you for like an hour, you find out, yes, some may think it might be a little bit of a weird situation, some things that you get into, but you're definitely a powerful one.
Yeah, all the things I do don't necessarily go together, but they make sense because they're all part of me. So that's the thing that they all have in common.
Exactly. And so one of those things I learned, you let me know that you recently published a book called Mushroom Logic Volume 1, Doves Can't Cry. That's stupid.
That's right.
First of all, this is volume 1, so there's going to be multiples.
There will be multiples. Yes.
Secondly, where did the title come from?
Well, the book is a bunch of things that I've written after I've eaten magic mushrooms. So that's where mushroom logic comes from.
That makes sense.
I've taken a lot of these things over the years, and I used to type them and put them in frames around my shop, and people were buying them. And people would see them and be like, that makes sense. And I'd be like, yeah, it's mushroom logic.
Right.
So that's where that part came from. And then the doves can't cry. That's stupid. That's something I wrote one time. It was, in my experience.
Now, is this the first book you've published, or?
Yes, by myself. So I've been published in other things, but nothing that was just strictly mine.
And how does that feel to you to just have like all of your mushroom logic out there for the world to
it was
in a bigger format?
Because it's only 100 things in there. I have many notebooks. But it was wild because I actually tried to start publishing this in 2018 or 2019. but then different things held it up. But it's also like me telling the world that I'm a plant medicine practitioner and just putting it out there like, yeah, this is something I do. And it's good for me, and I write things and I create art based on it, and here it is.
It's a beautiful thing to see, just to pull back the curtain, so to speak, to where a lot of artists and a lot of creatives are concerned, because there are so many different things and so many facets to who you are, and then one wouldn't really necessarily even know where to start by looking at whatever your artwork is, whatever it is you're publishing, whatever you're putting out there. And
Yeah. But it's also, it's cool for like people I know that have looked through it or bought it, or like, yo, like, you know, these ones really resonated with me, or when I got to this one, it made me cry. And I'm like, I'm so glad I published this.
Yeah.
You know, it's just hearing those little bits of validation. It's like I've taken this thing that was inside of me and I exposed myself to the world, and just to see that, you know, it resonates with other people is like so cool.
Yeah, it's got to be immensely gratifying just to
Yeah.
be able to pull emotion from people like that. Like this thing you wrote made me cry.
I wrote these strange things and I hope you like them.
Where is it available wherever you get
It's on Amazon.
on Amazon right now?
Yeah.
And so are you already actively working towards the volume 2?
I have not just yet. I have a couple other things I'd like to publish first. Like I have a shadow work journal, and then there's another book that I'm working on. And I'm just like, you know, I have all these many things I work on at once, and that the second volume will just have to wait a little bit. It's in line.
Right on. Yeah. So many things on your to-do list. New project, the Gallery of Rejected Art.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that.
So the Gallery of Rejected Art came about because someone forwarded me an email from someone who had sent a manuscript to an editor, and the editor basically told them, like, there's no market for this. This is not what the market wants. And the guy's like, well, you know, I've spent many years of my life working on this, so do I just scrap it and spend another 13 years of my life hoping that the market accepts this new project? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy that you can put so much into something just for somebody else to be like, it's not good enough, or that we don't want this here. And I was like, that's super wild. And I was like, well, what if there was a place where these things that others have told artists or writers, like, it's not good enough, or it's not what we're looking for, where it can be displayed? Because because it's not quote unquote good or appropriate for one group doesn't mean that there's not somebody else who's gonna really enjoy it. So that's why I was like, you know what, I should make this Gallery of Rejected Art, where, you know, we pretty much will share everybody's art.
So is this a physical? Is this a physical space, or is this online?
No, it'll be an online gallery. So basically, people submit their stuff. They check off some boxes. I agree to this. Small admin fee just for my time, and now you're in a gallery, an online gallery.
That's great. Is it any medium? Like, are there just?
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with just like visual art, just so I can get more used to how things are being displayed and making sure that I work out any bugs. But I would like to include as much as I can, you know, videos, music, manuscripts.
That's amazing, because it is. That's a great point. Is that, you know, just because one facility, one place, one quote unquote market is like, oh, this isn't what we're looking for, it doesn't mean your stuff's not good. It's just that there's something for everybody out there in this world. Like there are so many people and souls walking this earth that somebody is going to resonate with your stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, people, you know, getting those rejection notices can really prevent people from continuing to create. I hope that, you know, if people are able to share their work in this virtual gallery, then others can see it and maybe provide some positive feedback to encourage people, like, oh, hey, I really like this. Like, sure, the MoMA may not have wanted your art. I think it's cool, and I'm glad you shared it.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten any sort of artistic rejection that put a pause or stopped you for a second?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that comes to mind is years ago, I went to this this hip hop show, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And so the person who was hosting the show, I said to him, hey, like, I really like to participate in your next show. And he was just kind of like, well, I don't know you. So, okay, well, guess what? I went and started having my own shows.
Nice.
That's just what I do.
That is Amber in a nutshell. Like, that is.
I have the irons in many fires at all times. So it's like I could dabble here and then dabble there and then jump back over here.
And another iron in this fire is you're doing some collaborative art with your brother?
Yes. So my brother's name is Oscar Brown. He's actually at SCI Forest right now, and he has a life sentence. And we used to say with life without parole, but we now call it death by incarceration.
Oh, God.
And so he's a writer. He is one of the founding members of what's called the Elsinore Bennu Think Tank for Restorative Justice. And so a couple of the folks who were facilitating that group, they would have the men who were in the group write different things. And these were all men with life sentences. And so we took the writings and we categorized them based on the pillars of restorative justice and put them into a book called Life Sentences, Writings from Inside an American Prison. Wow. And I had the honor of writing the intro for that book. But so my brother writes things, and then I have taken some of what he's written and then added a visual component to it. And even had him record one of the pieces over the phone, and I just made like a little slideshow to go along with the audio. And the images in the slideshow video, whatever it is, we're just showing him pictures of him from when he was little, throughout his life. And one of the main purposes is to humanize him, because we kind of think of people who are incarcerated as like these just people who exist in these brick buildings and not as actual human beings. And so I'm trying to show like, no, he was a little boy, like he was an infant. I included I don't know if they do it anymore, but back in the 80s when babies were born, at least where he was born at in Ohio, you had this little card with the name, the weight, the length, and a little picture of your baby there, your newborn.
Yeah,
so
I have one of those. I was born in Ohio too, so I have one of those.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about. So it's like, no, this is a person, and he was an infant, and he was a little boy, and here's pictures of him with his family, and like, look, he was happy. Like, this is a good person who was in a bad situation.
Yeah. How has your family been able to deal with this, with him being incarcerated?
It's been hard. But it's like one of those things you just try to do the best you can because it's part of your reality.
Yeah. How long has he been in there?
Since 2006.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you really have no control over. So that's what I struggle with, because I feel like I have control over so many things in my life,
right,
except for this. Like, I can't just show up and be like, I'm here for my brother, and do you know who I am? I am Dr. Epps. I am a powerful, weird situation. You might also know me as a member of the Not White Collective, et cetera, et cetera. I'm here for my brother.
Right. Like, would you please release him?
Yes, here, let me go get him. That doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's difficult. And has this, working on this project, when did you two start working on this project?
I'm gonna say 2023 or 2022. I got the Allegheny Arts Revival grant from the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council to support that work. So it was, I think, 2022, 2023, and then there's my niece next door. And the first art show we were in together was through Let's Get Free. They had an exhibit at
is that with Etta Cetera?
Yeah, at Concept Art Gallery over in Regent Square. And then most recently we're featured in an online exhibit through, I'm trying to remember the name, Creative Action Coalition.
Okay.
They have an exhibit called Cogs in the Machine, so we are also featured in that show too.
Wow, that's amazing. Has this, in your opinion, or has he told you, like, has this project, has this artwork helped him mentally in any sense?
We don't really talk about it. But I it's funny, like, when I tell him, like, oh, we're in this art show, or, he kind of, he giggles. Like, he's just this little laugh he has. And I think he's just kind of like, wow. And I'm like, dude, you're in an art show.
Yeah.
Did you think week he would be in an art show, and then the one that was in Regent Square, I was able to set up a video visit with him during that time, so that way I had him on my phone, and he could actually, I took him around
that's
so he
awesome.
could see the art show that he was a part of.
So this most recent one, is it being shown anywhere right now, or?
It's a virtual exhibit.
Okay. And where can we find that?
It's a Creative Action Coalition on their website. Yeah.
What has this done for you? Like, see, because I guess in a sense, this is your way of doing something, quote unquote. But like, you can't just walk up there and be like, "Hey, give me my brother."
Give me my brother. Yeah. Think about it. I'm like, what if? It's just a way for me to share my brother's story. Mm-hmm. And like I said, humanize people who are incarcerated. Some of the most intelligent people I know are people who've done 20 years or more in prison.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it's just something that society doesn't really talk about. A lot of us have family members or loved ones who are incarcerated, but we act like it's not a thing.
Right.
We don't want to talk about it. And they just, like I said, they just kind of exist in these cement buildings somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and they just are over there not to be talked about or acknowledged. And it's like, well, you did the crime, you do the time. I mean, I hear you. I hear you.
Right. Is he older or?
He's younger. He's my youngest brother.
Wow, your youngest brother. Wow.
5 years younger than me, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, as much, I wish him as best as possible, in the situation that he's in, and your family also. Just
yeah, he is a commutation application in, so there's always that. But my mom does a lot of work with some of the different groups that are trying to change the legislation in the state, especially in regard to situations similar to my brother's. Because this happened when my brother was 19, and there's research that shows that, when you're 19, your brain hasn't fully formed, so you can't really make those really good decisions quickly.
Exactly.
So, is it really ethical to hold these people with these immature brains up to these standards?
Right.
So like there's actually scientific research that shows that. But, one step at a time. My brother's gotten he's finished a degree in there. He's a peer support specialist. He has led the dog training program, worked in the hospital with the men who are, on their way to meet their creator.
Wow.
So it's like throughout this time, he's, done all this good work. And if people think the purpose of prison is rehabilitation, well, how do you define that?
Yeah.
Because he's done all the things. And as a person who, is told that they're going to die in prison, he's not given up.
Right.
A lot of people would just give up and not do all of these productive things. So it's like, well, then what is the point?
So anywho, I guess let's scooch on over and you tell me in your words about the Not White Collective. What is the Not White Collective?
So when I describe the Not White Collective to people, I say it's a group of 13 women who are multiracial, biracial, international, all of the things. And we don't align ourselves with the ideas of white supremacy. And what I love about the group is that we do things together as a group, but we also do things individually. So we're not defined by the collective. It's like we're individual artists who are a part of this larger thing. And it's a group of women that I feel very blessed to be around. They make me feel loved and validated and supported. And it's just great to have a group of people that you can be completely yourself with.
Yeah, that was my next question was kind of what has being a part of the collective done for you as an artist and as a woman?
It's definitely validated me as an artist, because when I was young, in art class, they're like, here's what a painting looks like. And I was like, man, that's ugly as hell. Like, and so I never really thought I was an artist. It's just kind of being accepted into this group of women that I'm like, yo, they're really good at what they do. Like, these are amazing artists. And I'm like, oh, I'm part of that. Like, I'm an artist too. Look at me doing art stuff. So it's just like, encouraged me. And again, the word validation keeps coming up. Like, no, you are an artist.
Yeah. At what
like,
point in your life did you accept that you're an artist?
Good question. I think the first art show I was in was maybe 2014 at Most Wanted Fine Art. And I was like, I think this is good stuff. So I had to work through that for a while because I had this imposter syndrome going on. But then when I actually started making things with my hands and not just music, I was like, you know what? I think I am kind of good. I'm going to pat myself on the back here.
Oh, yeah. You have to take the time to go ahead and give yourself a shout out, to pat yourself on the back.
Yeah,
And
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, that's what I've been hearing a lot from you all. Is like, I think the core focus is the validation that the Not White Collective brings to you all together as individual women and as individual artists, is just that, from what I'm understanding, you separately, before you got together, you had all been experiencing these things in the art scene, and specifically like the Pittsburgh art scene.
Yeah.
A lot of racial inequity here, and also gender based as well.
There's a lot of, and just things that we're experiencing in our personal lives. It's nice to have people we can go to that we trust, that we can just be really vulnerable with and talk about those things. See you, son. And know that we're not alone. Even if it's just somebody listening, or, we can get together and somebody could just scream if they wanted to, and nobody's gonna be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Oh, don't do that. We're just like, hold on. Okay, we're gonna focus over here. Like, what's up? Like, what do you need? But actually, I also need to scream. Right. And then you have 13 women screaming, and it's just what we need to do in the moment. And it's perfectly fine.
Do you recall what that first meeting was like?
Yeah, the first meeting, I just kind of sat there because I'm an introvert, so I'll like sit in situations and just like soak everything in and see where I might fit in or where I feel like I don't fit in. And it took me a while to allow myself to feel like I was a part of the group, because I think I still wasn't really feeling like an artist, especially as a hip hop artist. We often don't think of ourselves as artists. Right. It's like, well, I rap about stuff. And so that kind of forced me into referring to myself as a musician, as a musical artist. And then I started getting into the visual art. But that first meeting, I was like, I don't know if I belong here, but there's food here, and I'm going to eat the food and see what happens.
I'll just sit and snack and wait.
Yeah.
Well, Christiana invited you, yeah?
She did. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you right now, when Christiana invites you someplace, you're supposed to be there.
It's because definitely that is a very true sentence.
She does not suffer fools. So have there been a lot of opportunity, or do you all take the opportunity to collaborate with each other in artistic projects?
I think some folks have. Allison and I are working on a collaboration we have a show coming up in Denver this summer. So I described to her some past life regression experiences I've had. And she's going to turn that into a painting.
Some past life regressions that you have had.
Yes.
I know some people, when most people say that sentence, it's literal. It's like, oh yeah, back when I was 15. But coming from you, I feel like it means, back when I was alive in 1312. Like, it's like,
yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. No, I've, especially being a plant medicine practitioner and being involved in spiritual work, I'll say fortunate enough to be able to tap into that, to see myself in these other lifetimes, which helped me understand why I am the way I am now, or why I'm afraid of certain things and stuff like that. So that it helps me, do the work to maybe get over those fears or break some bad behaviors or patterns that I have and things like that.
Yes. Okay. Do you feel comfortable telling me a little bit about this past or one of your past lives?
Yeah. So this isn't the one that Allison is painting, but I have asthma, and when I'll just call it a meditation session, I started going like gasping for air, and I said, why am I doing that? Because I'll talk out loud to myself. I said, why am I doing that? And then I said, well, there were times when I didn't have air, and I was like, why did I say that? It just like took me right into a past life. I could see myself. It was in Norway, and I was in I don't know what you call them, but like a hut, and there were a bunch of pelts, and I was sleeping. I don't know if I was a man or a woman, boy or girl, and someone suffocated me in my sleep.
Oh my.
And basically I was shown that's one of the reasons I have asthma now, but also one of the reasons it's very difficult for me to sleep in a bed or in a room with other people.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't feel safe.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's deep. And I could actually feel the physical sensations of being suffocated and the fear. And I wrote it down in my notebook.
Wow. That's scary.
It's yeah. And there's a friend of mine, her name's Karen Kubico, and she does past life work. And she has a book that she's written, which has described a number of the lifetimes she's experienced. So this is like stuff that I'm super interested in, but like I said, also grateful that I'm aware of this and know how to tap into it so that I can make myself a better person.
Right. And it's got to give you a lot of clarity as to who you are.
Yes, like, no, we can't sleep in the same room because I was suffocated in my sleep in a past. I really haven't done the work yet to get through that. So you need your own room. Like, it's not you. Trust me, it's not you. It's
yeah.
totally,
I mean,
totally
anybody who is at the point as to where you would be sleeping in a room with, I think they'll understand that explanation as to not like, that's fine. That's totally fine.
I get it.
So,
couch,
in a sense, like when I have read about or heard about past lives and that such, the way that I have always understood it is that we are put in the situation now because of something we didn't learn in our past life. Is that something?
Yeah, I think it's the way I would describe it is along those lines. Like they're like lessons we have to learn, things that we have to do so that we can, I guess the easiest way to describe it is like reach enlightenment, where we've gotten all the lessons and stuff like that. So I sometimes I notice my patterns and I'm like, I think this is one of those things, and we're not going to do that anymore because I don't want to have to come back and do this shit again.
Well, that's
yeah. Well, and there are different, I think different schools of thought on this, but one that, as I mentioned, my friend Karen, who does this sort of work professionally, she presented it as, when we die, we're presented with choices for the next life. So we choose this life, and we'll be shown glimpses of what we might experience, and that's partially where deja vu comes from. Where you're like, I've seen this before because it was in that
your little montage, the preview, your movie preview,
part of that, your next life preview, and I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
I guess, yeah.
This is,
and I'm like, damn, I picked this one. That's crazy. Wow.
I feel like I was shown a lot of just the highlights.
I was like, they didn't show me this. I've said that. I'm like, they didn't show me this part.
There was a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor.
B-roll. They didn't put that in there.
So, are there any big projects from the Not White Collective together? I know you guys just had a love festival, was it?
Oh, the love party.
Love party.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Yeah. I wasn't able to attend. It was the same day as my son's graduation party.
Congratulations.
So we had a love party at the house. Thanks.
Graduation from high school? Or
from CCAC. So he got his associate's degree. Yeah.
Wow.
Next year, the youngest one graduates, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
You got grown kids.
These schools can stop calling me. Yeah.
How does that feel to transition to the next part of your life? To have your children, like,
I'm ready. I'm ready. But it's cool to watch them like learn who they are and like become these little people in the world that just go like do their own things. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. Look at you. Go ahead, do that. Like my oldest son, he's 27. He lives in Vegas, and he's a lighting designer. And right now he is the lighting director for the Cedric the Entertainer and Tony Braxton residencies.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, I made you. Right? You're not even 30. Like, look at you, like being a whole adult.
Right?
Like, no kids, college degree, like did the thing.
Yeah, like super professional, like doing your thing and just out there. Aw.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I made you. Crazy. It's my biggest projects are right there.
Yeah, just out there existing. How many do you have? How many?
3 sons.
Wow, three boys.
Yeah.
Ooh, God bless you.
Yeah. I'm like one to go with this high school shit. Calling me. But
So what does the next chapter of Amber's life look like without having to, chase behind children?
I have no idea. I want to go more places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year the collective, we went on a retreat to Puerto Rico for 7 days. And then I stayed an extra 3 days and my kids came. And it was right before my birthday. So that was really nice.
That's amazing.
And I was just thankful that they navigated the airport and made it to Puerto Rico. But it was amazing to be able to be there with them and like have no stress.
Yeah, that's extremely fortunate. That's quite the blessing right there. Just to be able to have the freedom, the time to go down and do that.
And to have them be old enough to remember and be able to appreciate it. So it's not like, taking a 3-year-old to Puerto Rico
right.
and be like, I where?
So let me ask you this. What is the one thing that you'd be disappointed if you never got to experience?
Ooh. So like something I haven't experienced yet?
But you want to, and if you never got around to it, and you can't cheat and be like, oh, I know in my next life I'll be able to do it.
I don't know. Oh, that's a really good question. I'd be really disappointed if I never got to... You know what? If I never got to leave the continent of America...
Because you haven't been outside of the U.S. of it yet?
I mean, I've been to Mexico. I've been to Jamaica. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't go over the water.
Yeah.
The big water.
Where would you like to go specifically? Is there one place that calls to you more? Probably not Norway.
No. I do have Swedish in my blood, so there's that. There's a couple places I would love to go to. Egypt, India, Thailand, because I want to eat all the food. I'd be happy to visit many places except the cold ones.
Yeah, word to that. You still have your store?
We closed it in December of last year. We weren't sure what we wanted to do, and that's when the lease was up, because we all had our own personal things we were working on. And then earlier this year, I reopened it online. Okay. And may or may not be having a new physical location coming in the fall. May or may not.
Okay.
Check the social medias to find out.
And where can we find? What's the website for the store?
It's Arts and Crafts PGH. So the word arts, the letter N is in Nancy, crafts with an S on the end, pgh.com.
Right on. And anything else coming up? Any big shows, exhibits, things we should be looking out for Dr. Amber Epps?
Well, so we have the art show coming in Denver. I'm like, I don't know what I'm working on. Too many things at once. I have so much art stuff in my house in progress, but no, just website amberepps.com
right
and notcollective.com will tell you everything you need to know or don't need to know.
Hey you. Thanks for listening to the Rugged Angel Cast. This podcast was produced, hosted, and edited by Camila Adams, also known as Rugged Angel Productions. Please subscribe, rate, and share the show. It really helps with visibility. Take care.